Hello YouTube, this is JGod316 bringing you a video called Fundamentals of Aiming in Call of Duty, 5 tips to help you improve. 5 tips I chose were centering, pre-aiming, head glitching, sensitivity settings, burst firing, and then bonus one is practice. First one, centering. Centering has everything to do with putting your crosshairs where you think your opponent will be. A lot of it has to do with just practice and guessing. And by putting the crosshairs where you think they're going to be before you aim down sight, it helps to line up the shot so that when you do line up the shot and aim down sight, the time between you aiming down sight and tracking your target becomes reduced significantly. And the whole point of that is to win more gunfights. So if you're able to shoot the opponent before they even land a shot on you, a lot of times that can save you damage in the first place. You're going to get the first draw on them, quick draw, and then you'll be able to win those gunfights. A lot of times the centering goes hand in hand with the next tip, which is the pre-aiming. But the key is, by lining up your crosshairs in the first place, makes it so much easier.
I believe that just put us in the lead.
So pre-aiming will look very similar to the last tip of centering, but it'll be the second part of it, which is the follow-through. So basically, aiming down sight, waiting for the particular opponent to come into your crosshairs. As you can see, I have a bunch of examples where you're using different elements. Maybe in this case you're using the head glitch, which will be the next tip. But you can see just aiming down sight, predicting where the opponent's going to be, so that when you see them, all you have to do is pull the trigger and get the shot off. So a lot of times it's just building all these layers together, and when you practice these things you want to make sure that you're incorporating the different elements at once, because they're all going to go hand in hand. And maybe initially you focus on making sure you're centering better all the time, and then you're worrying about pre-aiming all the time, and then maybe you're watching your movement going into the next one, which is the head glitching. So it's just about practicing these different elements, because initially they're not always the easiest thing to do, especially centering. A lot of times you'll look at your video and you'll notice that it's way off. So head glitching is basically positioning yourself behind a piece of equipment or something on the terrain that will essentially block 3/4 of your body. So all that's left is your head. So that's why it's called head glitching. So you can see some of the examples right here. You kind of come around the corner and a lot of your body's covered, which allows for you to be protected as well as possible and get the first shot on your opponents. So it's just about positioning yourself. A lot of maps have great head glitching. It's just about seeing how you need to maneuver through the map so that you can have the best cover possible. And at this point you can see how a lot of the clips I've shown connect all these different elements. Next one is going to be sensitivity is the tip, and this is just about modifying your controller setup and maybe your screen setup so that you have everything set up that works best for you. Ideally, there are different play styles, so you might want to adjust your controller layout for that. But the other element that really focuses on accuracy is how much your sensitivity is. So there's horizontal and vertical. Typically most people are going to keep them identical, and they're normally going to stay between 3 and 6. Usually if you go higher than that, your accuracy will suffer. If it goes lower, then it's a little too slow. But there are other settings you can adjust as well, like removing vibration. That helps a little bit. It just all depends. So one other technique or tip is burst firing. This is one of the trickier techniques to grasp, just because a lot of times you want to fire off your whole clip, but a lot of times it's easier just to spray and burst, and it helps to keep a tighter group of accuracy. As you see in some of these clips, I'm barely tapping the trigger and I'm able to line up some pretty far shots. The next bonus tip is to practice. So how do you practice? A lot of times you don't want to jump in live lobby. There's too many variables. So what you do is you can set up a private match and play with bots. So you can set it up free for all, choose whatever your favorite map is, and then experiment with some different loadouts. Make it so that the score goes unlimited, the time's unlimited, and just put yourself with 11 recruit bots and just kind of play around. And you'll see in the video I choose a loadout that I was just kind of really experimenting with, and I just chose a little bit of an excerpt from the actually playing around, practicing, and working on some of these different elements. And it's a little bit different because you have to deal with a lot of enemies all around you all at once, and you get practice in a quick burst. So it's about tying all these things together. A good practice can also help you to warm up if you're about to go into a online lobby and experience multiplayer. Some things are a little bit different because one is on the console and one's through the internet, so there can be a little bit of lag or whatever the case is. This is a great way to experiment and practice on some things that you feel you might need to work on, whether it's centering, the head glitching, pre-aiming. Maybe your sensitivity is too low, too high, and see what works for you. A lot of times for me individually, I change my sensitivity based off sometimes the weapons I'm using. A lot of times with less accurate weapons like an SMG at range, a lot of times I'll lower it to maybe 3, and then maybe with an AR or LMG I move it to 4, just depending on how I feel. And some days it might be different. Some days you might need to lower it, some days you might need to raise it. Just a heads up, this weekend I'll be uploading a good amount of videos about the World War II beta coming out this weekend on PS4, and I will be uploading all kinds of content, so feel free to subscribe or comment if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe so I can continue getting these videos when they do come out. If you do have any feedback for future videos or suggestions, please leave a comment. And as always, thank you for watching the video, and enjoy your day.